Hi guys, today I'm going to do a video of the books that I bought because of Booktube. So, you know, ones that got hyped and a lot of people were giving good buzz to. And I'm going to do the best, worst and three that I'm most excited to read in this video. So I'm going to do top three of each one. So, let's get started. The top three best books that I have read and should say slash series because of Booktube. So, at number 3, I'm going to pick the Throne of Glass series. I have read Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight and The Assassin's Blade so far. They're the only 3 I've read. I hear things get a bit more controversial with the next 2, so, you know, maybe my opinion will change. But right now, I am very happy so far with what I've read. I'm really enjoying the series. I really like the characters. I like the way things are going. And especially Crown of Midnight, that was definitely the best one out of the series so far that I've read. I was kept thinking about it and I was like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen with Selena. And so, you know, it had that addictive feeling to it. So yeah, 5 stars I gave to the actual series and the Assassin's Blade, I can't think what it's called then. The Assassin's Blade I give 4 stars, but I gave some of the stories within it 5. I'm just not a very big novella person, like a short story thing. I do struggle sometimes with short stories. I like a lot of my world building, obviously. Yeah, anyways, so, as I was saying, if you don't know what this story is, this is a story about an assassin who is taken out of prison and is sent to be in a competition to become the king's champion. I don't want to go too far into it all, but it's got a strong female lead. It's got lots of twists and turns, lots of interesting characters, and I recommend. I'm sure you've already heard plenty about it anyway, but yeah, Throne of Glass. So, the next one I chose is quite weird for me. This is the kind of story that wouldn't usually be so high up in the things I read, and that's because it's a contemporary. It's also a standalone, which, you know, is nice. I do appreciate that. It's a contemporary, as I said, and that is Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. This got me in the feels. You know, if we're gonna use modern day ways to describe things, it got me in the feels. I really felt strongly about the relationships, not just between the characters, like the main 2 characters, but with their families and their peers at school, and just everything about it just got me. And, you know, it was about, this is a story set in the 80s about 2 misfit teens who end up having to sit next to each other on a bus and getting to know each other a lot better. And everything about this story was just beautiful. I've heard things about it being racist and things, and I wasn't offended. Maybe if I knew more about being Korean, I would be, and I apologise for my ignorance if that's the case, but I loved it and I adored it. And Eleanor especially, I've got to admit, Eleanor was the character that I really felt for, and that I just wanted to get out of that situation, and I just wanted to help her, and I just wanted to love her. And yeah, it really took my heartstrings. This is definitely the best Rainbow Rowell book I've read. I've only read 2. I've read this and Fangirl, and this Fangirl was nothing in comparison to this. And yeah, give this 5 stars, obviously. That's why I'm ranting and raving about how much I liked it. I just can't believe how much I did, because I don't read contemporaries, really. I'm not big on contemporaries, and yeah, I can't get over the fact that it just made me feel so strongly. Anyways, number 1, the best series it is that I read because of Booktube. You're probably not going to be surprised because I'm quite obsessed. This is like literal book crack for me. This entire series, anything to do with it, I'm just like, yes! The Selection by Kira Cass. I adore it. My number 1 fictional husband of all time is, of course, Maxon Shreve. You know, he is the perfect fictional husband. And, you know, luckily for me, we get to see him even more now with the continuation of the series. Yeah, this is the story of a girl named America who is chosen to be part of the selection, which is where girls from around the country get taken to the palace so that the prince can choose a wife, basically. I don't want to spoil too much. It is a dystopian, so it's got like, you know, what's wrong with our world in there too. Let's face it though, reread this because it is literally crack. This is one of those books where I would read like 50 pages and be like, I thought I'd read about 10. Because I'd just be flying through it all and I'd just be like, oh my god, I need to read more. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't marathon this and that I paced myself and waited in between books. Because I think I wouldn't have loved it as much because I just sped through it all and I wouldn't really remembered it. Yeah, the selection, I love it. I don't care about the fact that America is an awful protagonist. I don't care that people just think this is just fluff. It's addictive and wonderful and just give me more of Maxon. This is one of the few things where I enjoyed novellas. Yes. So, let's move on to the 3 worst books that I have read because of Booktube. They're all kind of in the same thing. Let's just go on to it. So, number 3 is The Catastrophic History of You and Me by Jess Rothenberg. I gave this 3 stars, so it wasn't like awful, but it just wasn't, I don't know, I just wasn't, I felt like I was too old to be reading it. That was definitely true. That was one of my main problems with it, which is something I do feel about a lot of contemporary. This isn't contemporary. I thought it was when I heard everyone talking about it on Booktube, and this was a book that people were talking about a long time ago and I was just really late on the bandwagon. I thought it was a contemporary. It's like paranormal. It's about a girl who dies of a broken heart and we learn more about her life, but like it's very contemporary how it's written, as in like the situations that you read, and it's just very juvenile to me, but I did enjoy the romance element of it, and I did enjoy the fact that there was a lot that wasn't as it seemed. There was a few issues in here that like you didn't understand until near the end of the story, and I enjoyed the fact that there was a couple of twists thrown in there. So it wasn't awful. I just wish that I'd read this when the hype was around, because I would have been a bit younger and probably enjoyed it a bit more. Next. This one's probably the most controversial one of books that I read because of Booktube and was very disappointed in. Again, I gave it 3 stars because it was just okay. Yeah. Let's just start offending people, shall we? Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. Again, I don't know what it is about contemporary, but like a lot of them I just feel like they're so juvenile and I should have read them when I was younger. And I feel again that's the case here. It was cute and it had the fun like bits and pieces in, like the emails and things in it. Like that was fun. And it was, you know, interesting to read about their like tour of America. But I just kind of felt like this is just so meh. So bland. So vanilla, even though I love vanilla, but that's apparently how you describe things that are boring. Yeah, it just didn't do anything for me, and whilst I enjoyed elements of it and like it wasn't horribly written or anything, I just couldn't relate to the characters. I think that's the problem. Yeah, I mean Roger, sorry. I bet the worst part is that like I remember how I felt reading it, but I don't fully remember it as a book. Yeah. Number 1 is a book that I thought at first I was going to enjoy and then it just went downhill. Like, I'd say for the first maybe like quarter, something like that, I thought, oh, could you enjoy this? And then it just got worse and worse and worse the more that I read it, and I was just getting more and more annoyed with it. And I ended up giving it 2 stars because it did have a strong beginning, so I'll give it that. And that is Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Cohn and David Leviathan, and this was all over Booktube quite a while ago as well. All three of these are kind of like been and gone now. But yeah, it's contemporary. Me and contemporary just don't get along. It's hard to explain. I couldn't stand that stupid mum squad that was in there. That was just ridiculous. And like the fact that Dash and Lily they could communicate with each other so well. They had a book and like they had these times to tell each other things and they just didn't do it. And I was like, why are you not talking to each other? And yeah, I got really frustrated. The characters started to really do my head in. That like I said, that stupid bit where they confront the mum squad or whatever and near like the end. What the hell was I reading? And yeah, this book just really did my head in. Like when I got to the end of it, I was just like, that was a waste of time. And yeah, it was just rubbish, really. Like I said, I gave it 2 stars because it started well and it did have its, that's a good thing. It had something good going for it. I usually don't give a book a 1-star rating unless I am literally going to kill a human being over it. Yeah, so that's the worst book I read because of Booktube. Now, on to the books I have not read yet because of Booktube, but I'm pretty excited for. So, first one is Snow Like Ashes by Sarah Roche. Is that how you pronounce it? And this is a fantasy about like different kingdoms that are set around the different seasons, and the harmony is unbalanced and things happen, and I've tended to avoid things that people have said about this and just bought the book and thought, well, it's a big fantasy, I'm going to enjoy it, and that's kind of what I've done here. So yeah, I don't know much about it, but I'm pretty interested to find out what is about it. Next one, number 2 is Angel Fall by Susan E. I have the entire trilogy now. I got them all really super cheap. Like, I got the entire trilogy for like a £5 or something ridiculous. So yeah, really happy that I got them for that. This is like, as far as I'm aware, like a dystopian not fairy, angel series with a strong female lead, and like I think there's like a war that's going to happen or something. Is that this one? God, I'll know when I read it, but I'm really excited, and there are like quite small books, but yet people like really seem to have fallen in love with this world. So I'm interested, I'm intrigued, and yeah, I bought the entire trilogy because everyone said it's like awesome, and maybe I'll actually like a story about angels. Yeah, and the number 1 most anticipated series again that I bought because of YouTube, and again I have the entire series apart from the novellas, which I'll probably buy if I enjoy the series, and that is Cinder and the Lunar Chronicles. So I have the 4 main books in this series. These are sci-fi retellings of popular fairy tales. You've kind of got me hooked in when you say it's retellings of fairy tales anyway, but then the sci-fi elements, and I've just heard nothing but good things, and I've heard that the books just get better and better and better, and every time people talk about this series I'm like, I want to read it, I really do. Why haven't you read it yet then, Vicky? Because I read books in kind of the order that I buy them. I tend to try and like, so that a book doesn't end up getting lost and forgotten about on my shelves. So I tend to, try and stick to reading things in some sort of good order so that things don't get left behind. Anyways, yeah, I'm really excited about Cinder. The one I've heard the most good things about was Cress, which is the 3rd book. So I'm really looking forward for that one. But of course I've got to get through the first 2 to get to the one that's apparently the best. And Winter may be quite intimidating because it's a beast, but I'm still excited for it, and it's one of the series that I am tempted to marathon because I think because it's a sci-fi story I'll be able to take my time and yet eat everything up and enjoy it at the same time. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to these. Yeah, so I think I should have said that's by Marissa Mayer. You could probably read it from the front of the book anyway. Thanks for watching, guys, and hopefully soon I can talk more about books. It's been a while. and I'm trying to get back into things since my stressful move.